Hello, Aries. Welcome to I have to remember what I'm calling these, your connection session for January 15th through the 31st. This is a love reading. I don't know where the coughing's coming from, but this is a love reading where we're going to be looking at the energy between you and your person of interest, as well as diving a little deeper into how your person of interest is thinking as well as feeling about you. So first, let's go ahead and dive into these chords for you, your person of interest, and the energy between, the two of you. I'm going to go ahead and take that and hop into pulling your cards for how they're thinking as well as feeling about you. So the card representing you all, Aries. Wow, that's interesting. I wonder if you guys are seeing a Gemini. We have the Five of Swords. So more or less right now, Gemini, did I say Gemini? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That came out as the feelings card for Gemini's person. And then the card that represented their person of interest was an Aries card, which was the Magician. So, if that's relevant, go check it out. But anyway, but with this Five of Swords, it's more or less you guys feeling at present that you guys are kind of in a lose-lose situation. So it's like you guys more or less being conflicted. And here's another thing that's really weird that I'm getting, because I don't know where this is about to go. But just the heavy vibe I'm picking up on is Aries, if you guys like recently committed to someone, or you just started like exclusively dating someone, it's like feeling fear and regret to that. And I don't know why I'm feeling a vibe almost like chasing a person and getting them and almost kind of having second thoughts or like cold feet or something like that. Like, did I really make the right decision? Is this really what I want to do? But I can also see the other side of this is if this is something that potentially just ended. And like if you ended something with someone and you're kind of having regrets in that regard, that's interesting. But if we were to pull this out of that, because with these, I like to have a landscape of depending on where you are in your relationship. But in other sense, like say if you're a person and you're just kind of like dating, this would more or less be just stuff that's happening in your personal life. It's just kind of feeling that you're at the butt end of things, you know what I'm saying? And just feeling hella conflicted about what's happening just in your life in general at present. Now, with your person of interest, oh goodness, your person of interest, we have the Four of Wands in the reverse. So it's more or less like instability on the home front. Now, if this is a connection where you guys are like with someone, there is a lot of upset in this particular connection. You know what I'm saying? Oh God, this would be really horrible if this is a couple that just got married. Yeah, and I hate to laugh, but that would be terrible, because this would be like, gosh, I could see this a lot of ways, y'all. This is why I love readings. It's just like there's so many narratives that come in. Legit, like if this was a couple where you just got married, it's kind of literally like Aries marrying someone and completely regretting this decision. You know what I'm saying? And your person being very clear in reference to this. And even more specifically, this would be like marrying someone because they were like pregnant type of deal. Which, oh God, if Aries, I'm just gonna say this. If Aries is dealing with a Gemini or a Taurus, if anyone is dealing with a Taurus this month, my goodness, I just apologize now. But if Aries is dealing with a Gemini, dude, this would be odd. I could see if Aries was dealing with a Gemini, I could see how this would be like a shotgun wedding type of deal. I could totally see that. But with your person of interest, it's a sense of disharmony and instability with them on the home front. And I say that like I said, if we're talking about an actual relationship here, it's Aries kind of being in conflict with themselves, and then this very much affecting the person that you're partnered with. Now, the energy, ooh, Lord, the energy between the two of you, this card is stalking everyone. Is the world reverse, and of course that Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, as well as Aquarius energy, all of the fixed signs. But in reference to this partnership, it's unfinished business between the two of you. Now, if I backstep a little bit, if like how I was saying with Aries, if this is a partnership where say you broke up with someone, like you decided to not be with this person anymore, this, and I mean, especially, I love these, especially Aries. So these are two things to look out for here. Aries, if you're dealing with a Gemini, definitely watch a Gemini reading. Aries, if you're dealing with an Aquarius, you most certainly want to watch Aquarius's reading for sure. Because I could see this, that whole narrative that came up in Aquarius's reading is if you and your person of interest recently like broke up, you know what I'm saying? Like they're, lost without you, right? And you're feeling regret for breaking up with this person, and there's unfinished business between the two of you, right? But kind of stepping out of all of that and just saying generally, my Aries are in an extremely conflicted place. They're unsure of where it is that they're at present. Your person of interest is in an unstable place. You know what I'm saying? They're in a disharmony at present. But between the two of you, there's unfinished business that needs to be addressed. Now, looking at your person of interest and how they're thinking and feeling about you, first we're getting into their fleeting thoughts, and the first card we have is the High Priestess. That is Pisces energy. Oh my gosh, if I could cover up my eyeball. There we go. We have the High Priestess. Next card we have is the Three of Swords in the reverse. I would have to say for this, I'm gonna turn all these over before I talk, but how this is kind of looking to me now, I would say with Aries, this is really starting to look like somebody you guys are separated from. The next card that we have is the Six of Coins. Wait, cover my face. There we go. The Six of Coins in the reverse, in their conscious thoughts. Oh my God, Aries, this is looking so fascinating. We have the Six of Cuppies. And I'm just going to go ahead and go through all of them. The next card that we have is their subconscious impression and projections and in their feeling space. We have the 10 of Wands in the reverse. So legit, Aries, what this is looking like for me, the fleeting thoughts that your person of interest is having, right? They're very clear. I feel like it's almost like I don't want to say like twin flaming. I think the last reading that I did where twin flames came up, which was like in 2022. Yeah, 2022. You guys had a twin flame reading. Like twin flame card came up, freaking hilarious. Anyway, but what I'm seeing with this High Priestess dude, I feel like your person is almost getting like intuitive hits. I hate to say this, but I'm not saying it's full on like twin flame telepathy or anything like that, but it's almost like them getting sparks of insight and reference to you. You know what I'm saying? Or it's more or less them thinking that they are, because I see this happen a lot. A lot of times people who are like spiritually inclined or starting their spiritual journey, a lot of times people be lying on spirit, not intentionally. It's just that they're not aware. And thank you, guides. Okay, so that would be what it is that's happening here. And I'll explain it to you just so anyone watching this will know. When you're new on the spiritual journey, and or if you got a reading or something and someone told you that you have intuitive gifts, or you're aware that you have intuitive gifts, something that's extremely important on the journey of developing your spiritual gifts is you realizing the difference between your conscience, the difference between your negative thoughts, right? Or positive thoughts, whatever, like the thoughts in your head that come from your brain, right? And from intuitive hits, And the simple way that I always explain this to people when I'm teaching this is that your thoughts you think in questions. Should I go to the store? Do they like me? Do they freak with me or do they not? You know what I'm saying? But your intuition comes in statements. So when you're hearing from spirit or you're hearing from guides, it's going to be go to the store. You know what I'm saying? There's not really, things of and this is when we get into a whole nother thing, child, because that's a whole part two. Do I really want to get into that right now? You're not going to get messages of like, they don't like you, right? That's not the type of energy that spirit is fraternizing with. And I could get into what that is, but this is not the type of reading that we in right now. So let's just stick with the simplistic things. Your thoughts come in the form of questions. Intuitive messages come in the form of statements, right? And you want to be clear on that. Now, what's happening with your person of interest is they are thinking thoughts and they're fear-based thoughts, right? And they're coming to them as their regular thoughts, but because your person has some sort of, maybe they didn't got a deck, they watch tarot videos or they're on a spiritual journey, whatever the case, it's like they're getting thoughts and they're considering them to be intuitive messages. And specifically, what they think the intuitive messages are telling them is that you're completely over them. You feel what I'm saying? With this Three of Swords in the reverse. So how they're more or less seeing when they're thinking about you, these fleeting intuitive hits, so they think that they're getting, or that they don't like you no more. They're over you. You feel what I'm saying? And I mean, I'm just going to say it. We're getting into the construct of dark forces and things of the sort. You know what I'm saying? And this would really get into like a light versus dark thing, to where if a person, and this is how I can tell you to differentiate, and this is where I don't know how this, I am me, this happens. Okay, anyway. So how it gets into a thing to where an intuitive hit would come as a statement and it not come from spirit is if it's telling you something negative. So if you're hearing statements, so this is if we were to just say the devil, if we say it in that construct, right? Or demons, right? The way that a person would get something in their head that isn't a question, that is a statement, means that it's coming from a darker force. So if you're getting messages that are saying that person is stealing from you, they're lying on you, they don't like you, they're messing over you, don't trust them. If you're getting messages like that, that is not your guides, your angels, your ancestors. I mean, unless they lower vibrational ancestors. Or spirit, Holy Spirit saying things to you, because that's not, there's a myriad of different ways. And I have 1,000 examples just from personal experience of ways that spirit has given me insight into something without the message being negative. You know what I'm saying? It's like being able to get insight into something that isn't healthy for me or good for me without it being in, accusatory, you know what I'm saying? Vibration. So be mindful of that. Like that's more or less like, my little 2 cents for your back pocket for watching this reading, whether you're watching this as an Aries or you're a cross watcher. This would be hilarious if a cross watcher was looking at this, because you would know now about what's happening with these intuitive messages that you're getting, but that's neither here nor there. But in so many words, that's an important thing to keep in mind, but that's happening with your person of interest. It's like they're getting intel, so they think, but it's either, if it's in question form, their own negative thoughts, and if it's, statements, then this is lower vibrational energy that's speaking to you. I feel in my spirit right now, a lot of people are creeped out. Like a lot of people are looking at this and are like, wait a minute, I need to be thinking about what's going on inside my head. Yeah, you should be. You should be thinking about what's going on inside of your head. If you're hearing statements that are negative things about people around you, that is lower vibrational energy / devil / demons that are speaking to you. So just pay attention to that. That is my public service announcement. I feel like I have done as much as I could possibly do from this point in 2024. Okay, just kidding. Anyway, moving right along. So with this, your person, they're getting these thoughts that you're over them, like you're past this, you're not interested anymore. And with the Six of Coins in the reverse, and again, these are fleeting thoughts, so these are different things that are jumping in and out of their head, is that you're not interested in giving to this anymore. It's like your energy isn't going here, you don't think about them, you're not worried about them, or what have you. Now, in their conscious thoughts, when they think about you, it's the Six of Cups. So they're remembering the good times, like how things used to be. And, once upon a time, like when you guys went on vacation or went on trips, or like the little things that you used to do together, or thinking about, different gifts that you've given them. And, thinking about like, oh my gosh, like it used to be so great with Aries, right? So it's thinking back on the past and how good things were for you all at one point in time, right? Like a snapshot, if we could say it that way. So it's them being heavy in a nostalgic kind of energy and reference to you. So this person, like dead ass, has been thinking about you a great deal up until this present moment. Now, when we come into their subconscious impression slash projection, we have the Ace of Wands in the reverse. And what this is saying to me about them is that they kind of feel that this is dead in the water. Like they feel that it's over. You know what I'm saying? But what they're projecting onto you, which makes their fleeting thoughts and whatnot, child, look, come on with it. This is a whole word, okay? What makes this make sense? And guys, like, even when I'm doing, like, all of my readings are educational resources, right? But even with love readings, dude, like, I love how this is still very much true to what it is that I stand for. And this is still very much an educational moment, because if we're looking at this subconscious, like what is like conscious or super conscious for us, it's all rooted or being filtered through or suggested by our subconscious. And I'm seeing very much like seeing how this plays out in action with your person of interest. It's like in their subconscious, like deep down, what they're not necessarily acknowledging is they believe in their heart of hearts that this is done. Because I always look at the Ace of Wands in the reverse, thinking about it like a giant torch, right? Like those old school torches, or like an Olympic torch, and taking a bucket of water and just being like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like in their belief, it's like this is done, like this is over with, right? Torch is in the bucket. You feel me? And because this is something that's pushed down in them, how it's bleeding out is in the form of what would be seen as intuitive message. Like spirit is telling me that they completely over me, and da, 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 da. Like my guides, my ancestors saying that they done and they didn't moved on. They're not even worried about me no more. But in reality, this is coming from their own fears. You feel what I'm saying? And now this comes out as a projection. You see what I'm saying? Like the reason why, like, I created this spread, and I love it because it's, I mean, all my spreads are like this. It's literally like a manifestation of how it is that I see the world and how I see things manifest in people. You know what I'm saying? And it's like showing how this comes up. It's like it's this seed of discord within them. And when we're not ready to like acknowledge something within ourselves, how it is that this bleeds out and becomes an other people problem, because we're not yet ready to see it in ourselves. Even if we need to project something we're not ready to accept onto spirit, our ancestors, or our guides, which we can very much do. You know what I'm saying? So with this person, it's a belief that this is over with, but it's them not acknowledging that within themselves, right? That this ended, or this is over, or this cannot move forward. You know what I'm saying? And in a sense, Aries, what I can say with this kind of looking at all of these cards, for some of you guys, this doesn't necessarily look to me to be something where this is something that should be reconciled or resurrected. You feel what I'm saying? Because kind of the vibe that I get with this is that even though, like, I feel like if we were to look at this on surface level, we would be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? And think like to feel bad for the person of interest. But I don't necessarily get that vibe. You know what I'm saying? Because of what's in their subconscious. It's like this Ace of Wands in the reverse is saying, like, on a deep level, like they know this should be over, and they know this should be done. They know that the time for them in your life is done, or should be. You feel what I'm saying? Like there should not be a new beginning with this. You feel what I'm saying? But it's them not acknowledging that. So if I were to put this into context to make this make more sense, say hypothetically that your person of interest was like a total douchebag, right? They were completely self-serving. They only cared about themselves, and your feelings and emotions were a complete afterthought while you were together, right? So you guys ended up breaking up. They broke up with you, or you broke up with them, right? You haven't met anyone up to this point, and now you're having doubts, wondering, did you make a mistake leaving this person behind? You feel what I'm saying? Now, with this person, they know that they treated you like crap, but they're not willing to acknowledge that. They're just seeing it as like, oh, we broke up. Aries didn't want to fool with me no more. So they moved on and they're living their best life and they're not even worried about me anymore. But this Ace of Wands in the reverse is in their subconscious because they're not acknowledging, right, why it is that this is over, like how it is that they treated you. You feel what I'm saying? So that's something they haven't confronted within themselves. So this was a disastrous, very damaging, and I'm saying this all hypothetically. I mean, some of you might actually resonate with this, but in reality, this was a very dramatic, like damaging relationship for Aries because of how this person treated you. They were very discarding, with you, right? And that's left some hurt and pain with you up until this present moment. But even still, into this moment, this person has not acknowledged that. So how they're seeing this is like a simple little breakup. Like, oh, we had a disagreement and, me and Aries went our separate ways, and Aries was just like, I don't have time for you. So it's more or less like this being a serious relationship you guys were in, and this person seeing it as Aries just gave up and walked away. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know what happened. Like, I thought we were going to get married. And Aries was just like, I ain't got time for this. Like, you going to yell at me for leaving my shoes in the middle of the floor? I'm out of here. Right. But I feel like this person would be doing that to make themselves feel better because it's not wanting to acknowledge the hand that they had in it. So it's making it all about you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, Aries don't want to talk to me no more. Aries block me. They block me on everything. They block me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Black Planet. Y'all young ones don't know nothing about that. Anyway, but it's like they block me on everything. But they're talking about all the wonderful times you guys had together, but they're not acknowledging like why it is that this really ended. Like what really caused this relationship to be over, they're not acknowledging because they're still projecting that externally, both onto spirit of like, oh, spirit telling me I shouldn't even reach out because, they're not even worried about me. Like they just left me high and dry. No explanation, no nothing, just ghosted me. You feel what I'm saying? And then like, oh, they're projecting onto you saying they just don't want fool with me. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm getting intel that spirit telling me they don't want fool with me, and they're looking at you like you don't want fool with them, but it's not being acknowledged the fact of why it is that this ended. Like, how did you guys end up in this, disharmony with each other? You feel what I'm saying? And looking at this 10 of Wands in the reverse, and that's why I say this is so interesting because I feel like, I mean, this is a little narky. I ain't gonna lie, because looking at this in transit, I can see how people would look at your person of interest as like a victim. You know what I'm saying? And how Aries would seem like a cold, heartless son of a gun for just piecing out. And it's like they seem all heartfelt and speaking so nicely about you, but yeah, they don't want to talk to me. I don't know why. And them feeling like they need to release this burden. Like, I'm carrying this burden of thinking about Aries and I miss him. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I need to lay this burden down. I need to go and leave this at the cross, because it's just so much for me to carry. But again, still not acknowledging this. And I feel like people around this person could even feel sorry for them. Like I was saying a few minutes ago, I could see looking at this, how looking at these cards, it could be like, oh, poor, Aries person of interest. Like, gosh, they're really going through it. They really want you, Aries. Like they want you to come back. This unfinished business between the two of you means you guys should reconcile. You know what I'm saying? I can see how looking at these cards in a superficial sense, this reading would look like that. And maybe, because I can say the same thing. That's why I'm glad that I did Aquarius before you guys. If you were dating an Aquarius person, then Aries, I can tell you for sure, you guys are intended to get back together. You know what I'm saying? If this was literally like, your Aquarius person moved to another city, because that was like the easiest scenario that I could see to describe why two people who were perfect for each other went their separate ways. If you were dealing with an Aquarius and your Aquarius, moved to another state and you guys broke up because of that, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, oh my gosh, I should have followed them to New York, and that's why you're in this Five of Swords. Then in that instance, yeah, like y'all need to work this out type of thing. You know what I'm saying? But if this is an Aries person where for a fact, like your past person was dead ass, like an asshole, douchebag, self-serving, manipulative, cheating asshole, then no, we should not feel sorry for this person at all, because they're not acknowledging what it is that they contributed to this. You know what I'm saying? But I say the same where if you guys were dealing with an Aquarius person or someone who has that in their sun, moon, rising, Venus, or Jupiter, you know what I'm saying? I can see how that could be the scenario. And that person, because this is exactly what it is that I saw for Aquarius, where the person is thinking, like they're afraid to come forward because they're thinking you wouldn't want to try again. You know what I'm saying? Because of how, things ended. So it would have to be something where you're literally feeling silly and not, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh my gosh, you moved to another state. That didn't mean that we couldn't be together. Like, if you're two adults and you ain't got no kids, it's like you could find another job, in another city. Like, it's not that complicated. You know what I'm saying? If the person is worth it, but other than that, it's like I would see this in the context of a person where the person that you were with really wasn't a good person, but the headspace that you're in, you're only second guessing yourself. Because let's just be honest. I could see this as a byproduct of like narcissistic abuse, because a person who is in a narcissistic abusive relationship, like you leave it and the person was shit, but you're still kind of second guessing it. And then you'll start like gaslighting yourself and saying like, well, yeah, I know they were like that, but it's like, I didn't have to make that much of a big deal out of it. Like you have to sacrifice somewhere. But I feel if that's the case, Aries, like that's some deeper diving that you have to do in reference to that. Like that's something we'd work out in, therapy, because there's literally nothing, not even me as a therapist, even if I put my therapist hat on, there's nothing I could tell you in a couple of minute video that snaps your mind out of narcissistic abuse, because it's just so ingrained. And for every moment of clarity that you have, it's simultaneously snuffed out by a thought of doubt. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole process of gaslighting yourself. It's like for every reason you can see how horrible this person treated you, in the same brain, you're like, I'm not even a licensed clinician. How could I even say that this person is a narcissist? And that's just such a buzzword now. And like what's happening on TikTok, like they're saying everyone's a narcissist. You know what I'm saying? So, I get that. You always know I recommend for you guys, to go get a therapist. There's a link to BetterHelp in the description box below this video if you need to get you a friendly local neighborhood therapist. But anywho, just to kind of wrap this up, Aries, if this is a past person that did not treat you well, I feel the decision that has to be made for you is going from this Five of Swords into the Six of Swords, and like saying in a sense of this unfinished business with the world. You need to make a decision about this person and stick to it in order for you to move forward, because otherwise I feel you're always going to be going back and forth with yourself, and that's going to cause yourself to be blocked for, being open to another partnership potentially, in the future. You feel what I'm saying? And I just feel the need to say too, if Aries is dealing with a new person, this is a new person that you're dating, this person is not over whoever it is they was dealing with before you. You know what I'm saying? But I feel that there's a hint of that energy on both sides. Like Aries is not over something that happened in their past, and the person that you're dealing with is a mirror reflection of that, because they're not over something from their past either. And I think that's the energy that kind of drew the two of you together, is the fact that y'all are both in unfinished business. But much like I said with Gemini, it's like if you're able to see your reflection in the other person, this could be a catalyst that's telling you that it's time for you to move forward. You know what I'm saying? If this isn't, because I don't necessarily think you should fraternize with someone like, I'm not over my ex, I'm not over my ex, oh my gosh, let's be together and not be over our exes. I don't think that that's a healthy way to start a relationship at all. You feel what I'm saying? But it being a mirror reflection for you to see yourself where it is that you are. You know what I'm saying? To make that decision within yourself, to tie up those loose ends, to complete that cycle, to close it, to put 10 toes down and say, it's over between this person. They really didn't treat me that great. I deserve better than this. So I'm going to take the lesson from what it is that I've been through, apply it to my life now, and I'm going to allow myself to be open to the potential of a better connection in the future. And my guide said near future. So I'm going to say what they said, the near future. So maybe like right around the corner, they got a little something for you, Anywho, but anyway, Aries, that's been your connection session. I got to program myself to say that, but let me know what you think in the comments. As always, I love your freaking face, and I will see you guys sooner than later. And by that, I mean probably in the next reading, because even though I'm telling y'all not to cross watch these, y'all know, y'all my people, y'all gonna cross watch anyway.